Yo, what is going on, guys, and welcome back to the Day 2 recap of the NHL playoffs tonight. Offered some questions that will be answered tomorrow by the NHL Player Safety Department, and we've seen some very good hockey games and some blowouts, and just a little bit of everything tonight in the NHL action, so let's jump right into the review. So starting off, we have the Toronto Maple Leafs and Boston Bruins Game 1. In Boston, another game I was so excited for and was eventually disappointed in. Like the Philadelphia-Pittsburgh game, I thought they were going to be two of the best series of the playoffs, and the first games have not really lived up. This game was better than the Philadelphia-Pittsburgh one, as Boston ended up winning 5-1, but this was a very physical and a more entertaining two-way game than the Flyers and Penguins game was. So opening up the scoring on the power play was Brad Marchand, assisted by Torrey Krug and David Pastrnak, and then Zach Hyman scored a beautiful, hard-working breakaway goal to tie the game, assisted by Brown and Riley. I was very impressed with Zach Hyman in this game, but that's not something I can say for many of the Leafs players. I think they need to bounce back and have a better game next game. David Backes scored on the power play to take the lead, assisted by Krejci and McAvoy. Pastrnak scored to make it 3-1, and that was assisted by Marchand and Bergeron, and then Corrali had a nice bat out of midair goal while jumping over Freddie Anderson, so that was a pretty nice goal, and that was assisted by Pastrnak and Chara. And then also on the power play, Krejci scored by DeBrusk and Krug, and that made it 5-1, and that is how the game ended. Boston outshot the Leafs 40-27, so this was not Freddie Anderson's fault. You know, allowing 40 shots in the playoffs, and the Leafs have allowed so many shots too many times this year, and they've been leaving Freddie Anderson out to dry and expecting him to save too many pucks, so they really need to clean that up in Game 2. A couple things I put on here. Mitch Marner misses a wide open net in the game, so that kind of came back to bite them as Boston scored shortly after. And Nazem Kadri kind of has to stop being a bit of a hothead, and this isn't even really talking about that hit late in the game. There was one play where he got a boarding penalty, and then the next play he came out and hit Tommy Wingles, I think it was, with that really dangerous hit where he kind of jumped into him and turned and hit his head up against the board. So he was sticking up for Marner, who got an elbow in the head, but still he had a lot of time to look and see the position Wingles was in, but he still went and made the hit and left his feet. So I definitely think he's going to get suspended for that. If Drew Doughty gets suspended for his hit, then Kadri's hit is probably worse than that, so I could see maybe even 2 to 3 games. Not that I agree with that, but I just think that's what's going to happen. Boston got off to a really hot start, and the bad pinch for the Bruins was by Chara on the Hyman goal. Really bad pinch by Chara, so it came back to bite them, but obviously that was the only goal that the Maple Leafs scored. And Marchand actually hit Anderson in the head with his stick in the game too. Brad Marchand is always in the thick of things like that, just a pest and gets under your skin. He actually licked Leo Komarov in this game, which is something I have never seen before. So yeah, that's just kind of my quick review of this game. The Leafs need to clean it up next game. Kadri, if he gets back in this series at all, he needs to clean up his discipline a little bit. So the Boston Bruins take Game 1 5-1 over the Toronto Maple Leafs. Next up, we have the New Jersey Devils and the Tampa Bay Lightning, and this was a pretty good game. The final score was 5-2, but it didn't feel like a 5-2 game. It was more close than that. The Tampa Bay Lightning ended up getting the win 5-2. They outshot the Devils 32-31, so the shots were close. Andre Palat opened the scoring, assisted by Tyler Johnson and Ryan McDonough. Tyler Johnson then scored, assisted by Palat and Point, and then Yanni Gourde made it 3-0, assisted by Palat and Sergachev. So Andre Palat, nice to see him get going. He was in on all 3 of the first 3 goals for the Tampa Bay Lightning, but then he kind of gave the Devils a goal as Palat turned it over to Taylor Hall, the last guy you want to turn the puck over to, and Hall ripped it home in the slot to make this a 3-1 game. And then Travis Zajac scored off a beautiful pass from Taylor Hall and assisted by Will Butcher as well to make it 3-2. But then Killorn scored a huge goal assisted by Yanni Gourde to make it 4-2. And then Kucherov buried it on the empty net assisted by Stammer to make it 5-2. The Braden Point, Palat, and Johnson line was absolutely insane and shredding the New Jersey Devils early on in this game. Palat has really found himself. I actually made a video on players who can be X factors in the playoffs, and Palat was on that list, and he really showed that he can in this game with huge 3 points on the first 3 goals, and he played really well. Yanni Gourde also played very well. He could have had 3 goals this game. Obviously only ended up with 1, but he had a lot of chances. And the New Jersey Devils are going to live and die by Taylor Hall. If he goes, they go, and he didn't really give them enough to win this game. He had a goal and an assist on their only 2 goals, but they're going to need some secondary scoring if they want to have any chance against the Tampa Bay Lightning, because just getting scoring from Taylor Hall is not going to be enough to beat a team like the Lightning. Next up, we have the Washington Capitals against the Columbus Blue Jackets in Game 1. The final score, the Columbus Blue Jackets came out on top with a 4-3 overtime victory, so we seen our first overtime goal in the playoffs. What a game this was. An early 5-minute power play. Actually, it was like late in the first period, I think they got this penalty. It was Anderson had 5 in a game for a hit from behind, which just looked like a dangerous play, so he got thrown out for that. And then on the 5-minute power play, Evgeny Kuznetsov threw one on net, and it was able to squeak through. That one was assisted by Backstrom and Karlsson. And then Evgeny Kuznetsov, 30 seconds later, skated down the ice and lasered a shot past Sergei Bobrovsky for a very nice goal. So he scored twice on that 5-minute power play. That one also assisted by Backstrom and Karlsson. And then I didn't really follow this game much, as it seemed like every time I flipped back and forth, I'd miss the goals when I was flipping. So the scoring for the Blue Jackets, Wenberg scored, assisted by Jenner and Vanek. And then Vanek scored, assisted by Pierre-Luc Dubois and Artemi Panarin. Devontae Smith-Pelly scored to give them the lead, assisted by Vrana and Karlsson. Vrana made a very nice play to set up Smith-Pelly there. And Seth Jones tied the game on a power play, assisted by Panarin and Atkinson. And then in overtime, Artemi Panarin scored an absolute beautiful goal. You know, your best player, and you do, and you play as your best player does. And he really showed. Not many people in the league would have been able to score that goal. That was an unbelievable goal. He pulled it from his back into his forehand, and the release was just so fast that I think it wasn't Braden Holtby. I'm just used to saying Braden Holtby. Grubauer was not quick enough to snag that, and that gave the Blue Jackets the Game 1 victory. So the shots were 30-26 in favor of the Washington Capitals, so they didn't play bad. I give the Blue Jackets a lot of credit for battling into this game and battling back twice and eventually winning the game in overtime. They were loading up on Ovi on the power play, so that really gave Kuznetsov them opportunities to score, as they were focused so much on Alex Ovechkin. So yeah, I don't know if Anderson's going to get suspended from that. Probably not. Another thing, Wenberg actually left the game with an upper body injury and did not return. So that's not good for the Blue Jackets if Anderson is suspended and he doesn't come back. But getting this game was huge for the Blue Jackets. And up next, we have another 5-2 game, the Colorado Avalanche against the Nashville Predators. And I actually thought the Avalanche had a chance to win this game. It was a much closer game than the scoreboard said, much like the Tampa Bay game. 5-2 final score for the Nashville Predators, but Colorado played very well. The final shots were 30-7 in favor of the Predators, but Colorado got off to an early lead with Zadorov ripping one, assisted by Rantanen and McKinnon, and then Austin Watson ended up tying the game, assisted by Sissons and Johansson, and then Blake Comeau gave the Avalanche a 2-1 lead on a goal assisted by Soderberg. But then Craig Smith scored a goal assisted by Johansson, then Forsberg assisted by Josi and Arvidsson, and then Forsberg again with an absolute unbelievable goal. That might be the best goal we see all playoffs. He put it through his own legs and then tapped the puck under the stick of the defenseman and then just ripped it home. It was so beautiful. He made something out of nothing, and your best players got to make plays like that to seal the deal sometimes. And Philip Forsberg certainly not shying away from the moment, as to be able to do that in a playoff game in the third period is just absolutely insane. What a goal by Forsberg. And then Sissons on the empty net, assisted by Watson and Josi. So that was the scoring. And there was actually a huge scuffle at the end of the game because Arvidsson took a shot on net with 3 seconds left, and I think Zadorov didn't like it and hit him with a slash, and there was just a big scuffle there at the end of the game. So the teams certainly do not like each other, and I think we're going to be in for a very physical series, and I think this is going to be closer than many people suspect. It was 2-2 going into the third period, and then Nashville kind of just took over like Nashville does. Huge breakaway save by Pekka Rinne late in the second period on Rantanen to keep it tied. Rantanen split the D because Subban kind of wasn't really on balance, so Rantanen split the D, made a nice move, but Pekka Rinne absolutely robbed him. And then early into the third, Rinne also robbed McKinnon on a 2-on-1, and Rinne was kind of the story of this game. He played very, very well. 25 save performance for him, and he got the victory, and the Nashville Predators take Game 1 5-2. And lastly, the latest game of the night, we had San Jose going up against the Anaheim Ducks, and the Anaheim Ducks actually lost this game on home ice 3-0, so they were shut out. Their home crowd was very, very quiet this game, even at the beginning. All the other series where the home crowd opened, the home crowd was hot, like the Bruins, the Winnipeg one. Everyone was just really excited, but the Anaheim Ducks crowd was pretty silent throughout this game. Obviously, losing 3-0 isn't going to help that, but early on, they never really got anything going. Their crowd wasn't loud. The Ducks weren't able to get anything going. An unbelievable performance by the San Jose Sharks. The shots were 32-23 from the Sharks. They played a great defensive game, preserving their victory. So Martin Jones with a 23-save shutout, a great performance by him. Evander Kane is looking like an absolute unbelievable pickup at the deadline and making the GM just look like an absolute genius as he scored their first 2 goals in his first playoff game. This was his debut in the playoffs, as playing with the Thrashers, the Jets, and the Sabres, he was never able to get there, but finally does, and he scores 2 goals in his debut. His first one assisted by Pavelski and Hurdle, second one assisted by Pavelski and Dillon, and then Brent Burns scored an unassisted goal from the point. So this was a very, very, very physical game, and it's going to be like whatever team comes out of this is going to be very bruised and battered to either be facing the Vegas Golden Knights or the LA Kings. So yeah, Ryan Kessler actually hits post halfway into the second period, which that could have got the Ducks going, but eventually it just didn't go the way the Ducks wanted it to, and they lost this game 3-0 to the San Jose Sharks. A very physical game. I think we're going to see a very, very good series between these two teams, and Anaheim really needs to win that next game, because if you lose the first 2 games on home ice, you are certainly in trouble and not looking good to win the series. So that is going to wrap up this recap of night number 2 of the NHL playoffs. I hope you guys enjoyed all the games tonight, and I hope you enjoyed this video as well. I guess kind of the question I'm going to be leaving you guys in the comment section with is, should Nazem Kadri be suspended, and if so, how many games? I certainly think he is going to get suspended, but I honestly think it maybe should only be like a 1-game suspension. Wingels threw a high elbow on Marner, but I just think seeing that Doughty get suspended 1 game for his hit, and this is certainly worse than Doughty's, I could see a 2 to 3 game suspension, and that could be worst case scenario for the Toronto Maple Leafs, as he's a big part of their team. He had 30 goals this year, and he's a guy that you need in the playoffs because he can get physical and stuff. But he just got to keep his head and stay cool if the Leafs want to have a chance here against the Bruins. I'm not saying he should get suspended, or like Doughty even should have got suspended, but what can you do? The NHL is cracking down on stuff like that. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to this channel for more hockey videos like this every single day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.